Kenny. Okay.
Asked us for them needed for our end of the. So we're looking for the entire county with them. Several hundred families, dollars per family. Electricity, water, that people would rent. Also, another program that if it does not fall under that criteria and they qualify, then we can do more to help a family, but it has to be a one-on-one basis. So what we will do is set this up on like a 10-year plan, take $15,000 each year, invest it like in a CD where it's guaranteed, draw interest, and after 10 years, we'll probably have one more year of close to $15,000 to handle this program for them. So we'd be more than happy to do it, and they've been in contact with me, with the Ruthens, for probably about a year and a half. They all on the up and up people. Thank you.
Thank you. Durwood?
My name is Durwood Grissett, and I live on Scotts Crossroads with my wife, Sandra. And we are growing trees on both sides of Scotts Crossroads. And we meet the solar project across Scotts Crossroads, probably, I don't know, 400 or 500 feet deep in the woods, and I got a road running back there where we come together. And it's my, the last proposed buffer I've seen was 150 feet. And that's not very much. I think of it in times, if you're at the football game and the 50-yard line, you look at the 50-yard line, from there to the end zone, you're talking about 150 feet or 50 yards. Now, my wife and I have talked about it over the years, but we never done anything about it. We never would. But if we were to build building lots back there, and the person got to see that the back of their lot was in throwing distance of the solar panels, I don't think I would sell any lots. So I feel that if the solar panels get there, the property value in our farm is probably going to go down. And I thought that the proposed buffer was going to change. As far as I know, it hasn't to date. And I'm limited to 3 minutes, but I'd like to read something to you about an experience that I had in about 1965. I was 25 years old at the time. And I was flying in an airplane. I flew over the mountains in West Virginia. This was about 50, 60 years ago. I saw this. Coal strip miners had mined coal from the mountaintops. And I was up here looking down at the devastation that caused. That was not a pretty sight to see. I have not flown over Chase City, but I doubt if the solar fields add much to the beauty of the city. And they don't look if they don't look pretty from up above, if you can see them down below, they probably don't look pretty either. And what I would like to do, of course, I was hoping I would see the proposed buffer change, but I would urge you to carefully consider future solar project decisions, because sometimes you don't always see what is there. And solar projects aren't pretty. I'm sure they're useful, but they're not pretty, and I think you have to be really careful where you put them.
Thank you. That was the last one.
Okay. You have something you'd like to say?
Yeah, well, I just had a few questions. Cliff, could I ask a few questions? I had a couple of concerns and all, but one of them is like these solar farms. You say y'all will sell the electricity off of these, so y'all retain ownership of them.
That's right. Yeah.
And sell it. But you know, I was seeing something a while back here that Dominion Energy posted a thing that a report to the SEC. It was a list of like 25 solar farms and solar projects, and they were talking about the electricity they produced over the percentage of electricity they produced over the last 3 years. It was 21, 22, and 23. I think when most of them started out, they was producing 20 to 22% per year. And that over the 3-year period, it actually got down to 17, 19, 16%. And I just wonder how financial viable is that if they producing only that. Are y'all's producing more than Dominion? Because Dominion, I know they went to the legislature this past year and was concerned about these farms not producing the amount of megawatts and stuff that they were supposed to do. And by not producing, they were forcing them to build more and all to keep from getting, I think it's a potential of over a $400 million fine from the state of Virginia if they don't get this, get what they were agreed to or whatever the state wanted them to do. So, of course, if they find the state legislator wouldn't made them keep that, they wouldn't take it away. So the $400 million, I'm sure it's not going to come out of Dominion's, the money from they've got stocked away. I'm sure it will have to be passed on to the consumers and all. But I think my biggest question there is y'all's producing more than 20 or 25%? I mean, that sounds a low number, but I mean, this is what they sent into the SEC, so I assume it's correct.
Yeah, I don't know what Dominion is producing. It's a little low for modern technology, but the way that those numbers are calculated, it's the 100% would be if the solar plant was calculating energy around the clock, so nighttime too. So just by the fact that you're dealing with a solar project and not something that's generating around the clock, you're already, like say it was light out 50% of the time and you had good sunshine and there was no clouds or anything else, then but that's called I think what you're looking at is called the net capacity factor. And typically for around here, you'd see a number closer to 30%, be in the high 20s. I haven't heard of fines for not, I guess it's probably more to do with the utility business model. But when we build these projects, we enter into contracts to sell the electricity into the wholesale market so the electricity goes on the grid and flows to where it's needed. And the contract that we enter into is typically a virtual power purchase agreement. So we put the power on the grid, and there's a company we track that, and there's a company that's paying for the electrons that we put on the grid. But as far as the amount that's generated, it's, the numbers from Dominion, maybe it's older equipment, we typically see a little higher generation, but it's, part of the fact is you have to look at what's typical for a solar project, not due to some fault of the equipment, but just due to the fact that it's a solar generator, and it's generating from the sun, so it's not generating around the clock, and then it's, dependent on the weather and, variations and clouds and so on. So hopefully that helps.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Mr. Bradley, could I add on?
Yeah.
Thank you. The metric for solar power that really matters is your power price. So every technology, gas, coal, solar, wind, whatever it is, they have different net capacity factors. So what really matters is how much you're paying for electricity. Our projects are bid into a competitive market, and they're selected based on who's got the cheapest price of electricity compared to the other uses that might be out there. We manage over 5 gigawatts, 5,000 megawatts around the country, and we've been a long-term First Solar buyer and operator, builder operator. We're meeting our targets across the country in every region, whether it's up in Maine or down in Arizona, California. Fox Sound, I guess we don't own that anymore, so I can't speak to that, but in our portfolio, we meet those targets. There is about a 0.75% degradation per year of panel efficiency, and that's built into the 25-year PPA. One of the things the utility companies really like about solar is you predict how much energy you generate over 25 years, and that price, the power goes down a little bit every year. But even after 25 years, if you take the total cost of electricity, that still beat all those other prices that were out in the market at the time that the power purchase agreement was signed. So to your question about Dominion Energy, I don't have any intel on whether they're not performing, but I know different and older technologies, as Cliff mentioned, might not be meeting their metrics. But again, for our portfolio, we're hitting them. So yeah. Does that answer your question, sir?
Yeah. And the other thing was that Cliff and all, we have talked a lot, and one of my concerns was always about the people that lived right around that area and stuff like that, because when this project started, it was in my district, and I think District 7 is in there now. But a question to think, and then I see it's not as the opposition probably was here in the earlier. I didn't hear that tonight as much, but I'd go back to a landowner sent me this good neighbor agreement that y'all circulated. I think Robert may have a copy of the thing out. And that good neighbor agreement was, I think it was something like at the early part of the procedure to pay like $2,000 to them, and then at the end of the project, potentially another $10,000. And I'm not going to read all this, but right here, one of the things on this contract said support and cooperation. Neighbors agreed to cooperate with developer in connection with this project, including but not limited to developers' effort to obtain any permit, entitlement, approval, authorizing, or other rights necessary or convinced in connection with this project. If neighbor has any concerns regarding this project, neighbor will communicate directly with developer to resolve such issues. Further, neighbor will not in any manner, directly or indirectly, interfere with the project and or permit development or construction activities related to the project. As a result, neighbor agrees not to intervene in or otherwise appear at a party in any regulatory or other proceedings, and it said before the Mecklenburg County Board of Supervisors to oppose, delay, stay, and or block this permitting construction, development, and operate of this project. So I kind of just asked, what was the purpose of this, and how many people probably signed? How many people signed this?
I'd have to check, but I can tell you the purpose of it first, and that's because, believe it or not, last year we thought we'd be starting construction this year. So the purpose of that was to, essentially pay people for the inconvenience of having the construction activity well, this was before we added the western entrance that is on Highway 49 Courthouse Road. So we were reaching out to neighbors on Scotts Crossroads to, in preparation for construction, to provide some compensation for the fact that there would be an increase in traffic, there's for the 1 year construction time frame. And so that was the purpose of the agreement, is to essentially, provide some money in people's pockets so that when they see construction activity or, it's not as aggravating to them. that, you know, when we got our siting agreement rejected in last August, we stopped pursuing that because we realized we had a longer road here, and also started looking more closely at adding the entrance to the west, which I don't think I got to in the presentation, but the entrance that goes to the west from our project goes to Highway 49, also known as Courthouse Road, which, you know, so not a secondary road, but goes to Courthouse Road, and that's actually where all three-axle trucks would be entering and leaving from Highway 49. So we haven't been focused on, you know, starting construction as much as, you know, continuing to address concerns. And, you know, I was pleased to find a way to add an access road to the west, because I think it probably does even a better job of addressing concerns than the good neighbor agreements do. But that's something that, if we do approach construction, you know, we'd be happy to talk to neighbors about that again. As we, you know, I shouldn't say when we do approach construction, you know, if things can go positively here and with the Board of Supervisors.
But you don't know how many people might have signed that?
No, I don't. I'm not sure that we actually proceeded to signature. I mean, it was right around the same time.
Right.
You know, we were looking at siting agreement, you know, following the 2232 approval that we had, you know, siting agreement, SEP approval, construction start. So, you know,
Even if they did sign it, you know, they wouldn't be here tonight by the language of the contract.
Would be, you said?
Wouldn't be. Part of the agreement on there, what I read, said they would not.
Well,
pursue.
no, I mean, the language in there is basically intended for, if people do have concerns, to come to us first. It certainly doesn't take away any of their legal rights to, you know, protest or anything like that. So, I mean, we've got supporters that are on Scotts Crossroads. You've heard from one of them here tonight. You heard from a cousin of another one, and there's others who are perfectly fine with our project moving forward. It's not because they've been paid. You know, we don't have like a filing cabinet full of these agreements. As I said, we never got to that point of actually, you know, executing any of these agreements. So, yeah, if people aren't here, that's their own decision.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Any other? That's it. Okay. Any other discussion? Anything else you'd like to add? Okay. Any other discussion? All right, this is in District 7. Do I hear a motion on this application?
I make a motion to deny the application. The site would be utilizing 1,249 acres of prime farmland of statewide importance to develop a 435-acre solar facility. A small portion of the land scores Class 3 or 4 on the Virginia Conservation Vision agricultural model. Property has moderate, high, very high, and outstanding forest conservation values on the Virginia Conservation Vision Forest Conservation Model. A number of proposed panels on the submitted concept plan are situated in areas designated as very high or outstanding. The property registers as having high ecological cores on the Virginia Natural Landscape Assessment. Portions of the property are on the Virginia Natural Land Network. The applicant provided a construction route that all loaded commercial vehicles would use Highway 49 construction entrance, and other construction traffic would use Highway 633 Scotts Crossroads to include unloaded commercial vehicles. However, the applicant has not provided a total vehicle count that would be utilized in the construction routes. The project is being developed in the proximity of the South Meharon River, which flows into the Meharon. These waterways could be affected if any contamination were to leave the site. And additionally, the Meharon River has been designated by the Virginia General Assembly as a state scenic river. As the Virginia Department of Conservation and Natural Resources noted, a good portion of this land is timberland and has ample forested buffers which provide a sense of isolation and remoteness, and the Meharon River corridor contains few signs of housing or industrial development. Several houses and cabins may be seen along the route, but they're few and far between and often veiled by foliage. The siting of these structures well away from flood zones, high on banks, and behind vegetated buffers does not significantly compromise the sense of isolation on the water or the aesthetic quality of the corridor. And industrial development would be contrary to these statements. Those are the reasons.
Okay, motion's been made.
Roll call.
All right. Is there a second?
I second.
Second.
The motion on the floor is to deny the application. Mr. Ramey?
No.
This yes to the motion or?
Would be yes to the motion to deny it and no not to deny it.
Okay.
Mr. Crocker?
No.
Mr. Lassiter?
No.
Mr. Crump?
No.
Mr. Warren?
Yes.
Ms. Simmons?
No.
Mr. Hayes?
No.
Ms. Crowder?
Yes.
Mr. Watson?
No.
Mr. Brinkley?
Yes.
Ms. Webster?
Yes.
Mr. Arrington?
Yes.
Let me count these up. Did I miss somebody? I'm double checking, make sure I didn't miss nobody. Oh, 7. The motion to deny the application did not pass.
Okay. Do I hear another motion on this application?
What was the vote, Bob?
7 to 5.
7.
7 noes and 5 yeses.
Go ahead. It's up to you.
I make a motion to approve this, and for the following reason. The site, let me get this so I can read it. The site will produce additional energy which is needed to offset additional sources of energy consumption, including industrial uses located in Mecklenburg County. Approximately $2.5 million will be provided to the county in one-time capital payments to support county projects. An additional $500,000 will be provided to the town of Chase City. The site will produce enhanced county tax revenue compared to existing uses, with estimated $7.6 million over a lifespan of the project. This includes real estate, approximately $15,000 annually, and revenue share in lieu of machinery and tool taxes, payments beginning at $123,200 annually. The submitted economic impact report indicates that the facility would provide 29 full-time equivalent construction worker employment opportunities during the year for construction with $1.5 million in wages and benefits and $14.5 million in output. These jobs are modeled in support 94 additional jobs with $3.75 million in wages, benefits, and $14.87 million in direct and induced economic activity during construction. The applicant plans to adhere to the proposed construction traffic management plan standards to reduce impacts to the county's secondary road network. A number of conditions listed have been offered by the developer to provide protection to the public, to the land, and development of the energy facility, and its eventual removal. The recommendation to approve would impose several conditions on the development.
The proffered conditions, you want to go those?
I can. Okay. The site where shall be developed, constructed, operated, and decommissioned in substantial compliance to all of the following. The applicable federal, state, and local laws, statutes, ordinances, and regulations. The final site plan, as defined in Section 1, Condition 3, the decommission plans provided by the Mecklenburg County, as referenced in Section 5, Condition 1, the emergency response plan approved by the Mecklenburg County as defined by Section 1 and Condition 4, the construction traffic management. Wait a minute, I've lost my place. All right.
D.
Which one am I on? D?
E.
E. I got it now. The construction traffic management and mitigation plan approved by the Mecklenburg County as defined in Section 3, Condition 1, the erosion settlement control plan required by the state law is acceptable to the zoning administrator. The stormwater management plan required by the state law acceptable to the zoning administrator and DEQ. The screening plan is divided in Section 2, Condition 1B. The vegetation management plan acceptable to the zoning administrator that is included in part of the final site plan. The SEP application as may be modified by the final conditions and any approved plans referenced above. And
You want me to read a few?
yeah, why don't you take it and go with number 2.
Number 2 is the SEP shall be issued to the applicant and shall run with the land unless and until it is revoked, expires, or is void. Number 3, approved site plan, final site plan shall be required for the permitted use. Land disturbing shall be permitted following the issuance of the Virginia Department of Environmental Quality permit by rule approval, except that preliminary land disturbing activities, grading, internal roads, construction, and initialization of silt fences, basins, and perimeter fences shall be permitted prior to the PBR approval as allowed by law. Applicants shall submit the emergency response plan. The submission of the final site plan, the ER plan, shall include fire suppression methods that can be immediately deployed where applicable during both the construction and operation of the project. The ER plan shall also include a program of education and training to be provided for the county emergency response staff covering on-site emergency response. Upon approval of the SEP, the county must be granted an easement which provides the right of entry onto the property for so long as the project is in operation and for so long after the operation ceases as is needed to ensure decommissioning and compliance with terms and conditions of the SEP. The right of the entry must be afforded by record owner of the property at the time of the easement and is granted. The easement shall contain details of access procedures and will be conveyed to the county by the recommended deed. The deeds will be provided
that the right of entry runs with the title to the property and to the subsequent owners. After the decommission has been completed in compliance with the terms and conditions of the SEP, upon request by a record owner, the property at this time of the decommission is completed. The county will deliver to the owner, a deed by which the easement rights are conveyed to the current owner and otherwise extinguished. The applicant will reimburse the county any reasonable expenses incurred by local fire and rescue personnel related to a response by such personnel to a fire rescue call, similar event that occurs at the project and is caused by the project, and or to secure training for EMS to respond under such circumstances. Section 2, buffers and heights. We're going to alleviate some of this. Section 2 is buffers and heights and setbacks. That is number 1, 2 of that section. Section 3 is construction, traffic, and roads and repairs. That is number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of that section. Section 4 is environmental. That is 1, 2, 3, and 4 of that section. And then the last section is Section 5, decommissioning. Decommissioning shall be conducted as set forth by the decommissioning plan approved by Mecklenburg County. Is there a second?
Yes, second. Mr. Ramey?
Yes.
Mr. Crocker?
Yes.
Mr. Lassiter? Yes. Mr. Crump?
Yes.
Mr. Warren?
No.
Ms. Simmons?
Yes.
Mr. Hayes?
Yes.
Ms. Crowder?
No.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Brinkley?
No.
Ms. Webster?
No.
Mr. Arrington?
No.
Motion carries 7 yeses and 5 noes.
Okay, motion carries. All right, Mr. Administrator, sir, approval of minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we approve the minutes. They have been reviewed and corrected, and I make a motion we approve.
Motion been made to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
At least all of us
Motion
agree
carried.
on something.
Administrator's report, sir, when you are ready.
Okay. Let's see if I can find them. Everybody should have a copy of the monthly zoning report for the month of February. Of course, this year was down a little bit compared to 2024. But other than that, we're still extremely busy with a lot of questions being asked and other projects. Everybody's got a copy of the billing report
Yes, sir.
for the month of February. we will have a meeting for April. We will be going to the school board office to hold the meeting there because the same night they have the Budget and Finance Committee meeting at the same time.
Keys.
Yeah, so we'll be going to the school board to hold it in their board meeting room on April the 24th.
Send us a reminder.
Okay.
I'll probably still show up here.
Uh,
I've only changed my meeting one time, and that was to the gym, so.
Yeah, but yeah, we'll send out a reminder to let you know to go to the school board office.
Okay. Anything else to add?
That's it.
Do I hear a motion we adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, get up and run out.
Can we give you these books back?
Chariot, what these